Hi there, my name is David Hillier and I'm going to give you a very quick video today looking at the dividend growth model and also the net present value of growth opportunities model. Now both of those are used to value equities, and in previous videos I've spent quite a lot of time explaining both the dividend growth model and also the net present value of growth opportunities model. In this video, I'm going to bring them together and show you that they are equivalent. One is more difficult than the other, but this is an important thing because a lot of finance is all about consistency. There's no point in having one model that gives you a different result from another model. So in these two approaches that I've given, we're going to be looking at why they are consistent. Now, let's start off with a simple example. So you've got an equity, the earnings per share is €10. Now you've got a retention ratio of 60%, so that means that you're retaining 60% of your earnings, and that means that you're paying out 40% in the form of dividends. We have a discount rate of 16%, and we have a return on retained earnings of 20%. So what that means is that from the amount that you're keeping back, you're investing in projects that are actually giving you higher return than what investors are looking for. So investors are looking at 16%, you're getting 20%. So that's good. That's good, and it's a reason for not paying all of your earnings out in the form of dividends. So we're going to be using in this slide the dividend growth model to value this company. So our retention ratio is 60%, which means our payout ratio is 40%. So how much of the dividends? It's 40% times the earnings per share of €10, which means that our dividends are €4. Now we want to work out the growth rate in our dividends, and you'll recall from a previous video, the growth rate is equal to the retention rate multiplied by the return on the retained earnings. Just get a little slurp here. So the growth rate is equal to the retention ratio, which is 60%, multiplied by the return on the retained earnings, which is 20%, which gives us a growth rate in dividends of 12%. So let's look at the value of this company then. The value of the company is equal to the dividend next year, that's this point here, €4, divided by the discount rate minus the growth rate. So it's 0.16 minus 0.12. Notice that we're not using whole numbers, we're using decimals here. And that gives us a value of €100 for that equity. Now we can look at, what is the value of the company without growth? If the value of the company without growth, we have the earnings per share. Remember, you're not keeping anything back. You're not keeping anything back to invest, so everything is getting paid out in the form of dividends. Given that is the case, then the dividends are equal to the earnings. So the share price is equal to the earnings per share divided by the discount rate. There is no growth. And we get €10 divided by 0.16, which gives us a share price of €62.50. So the difference between the share price with growth and the share price without growth is the net present value of growth opportunities, and that is equal to €37.50. Okay, so just look at that. These are some key values. The value of the equity is equal to €100, and the value of the net present value of growth opportunities using this approach is €37.50. Now we're now going to do the exact same, but this time use the net present value of growth opportunities model. And it's a bit more difficult, I have to say that, because in the previous video we looked at a case where you only have one investment which takes place at time one. But with this example, you're going to be holding money back every year. So you've got a perpetuity of investments. It's not just one investment you're looking at, it's a number of investments. So we're going to have to just do a few more things to make them just a little bit more complex. Apologise for this screed of writing, but it's important that we do it step by step. So it's the exact same issue. There's no difference between what we did in the previous slide and what we're doing just now. So the first thing we do with net present value of growth opportunities is you work out the net present value of the investment that is made from the retained earnings. So let's look at date 1. Date 1, you can see here that we've got the retention ratio of 60%. So that means we're retaining 60% of €10, which is equal to €6. And we know that that earns 20% per annum forever, right? So if it's going to earn 20% per annum forever, 20% of the €6 is equal to €1.20. So we can work out the net present value of that retained investment, which is €6 plus the perpetuity of €1.20 divided by the discount rate that you're getting, that investors expect. And that gives us a net present value at time 1 of the growth opportunities to be €1.50. Now, be careful, the net present value at time 1. Okay, we're going to come back to that. Now we go to date 2. Now, because the earnings per share in the dividends are growing at 12%, right? We know that, we calculated that here. Then it's a constant proportion of the earnings. So if the dividends are growing at 12%, the earnings will grow at 12% as well. So 12% of €6 is equal to €6.72. So that's the retained earnings at date 2. They're going to earn 20%, as we said, which means that 20% of this amount is €1.34.4. So we do the exact same thing, but this time it's at date 2. So what's the net present value of this investment? Well, we're investing €6.72. We're getting €1.34.4. We're getting that every year forever, so it's a perpetuity. We're discounting that by the discount rate of 16%, which means that the net present value of the retained investment at date 2 is €1.68. But that's net present value at time 2, right? So we're looking at the second year. And we're going to do that again for date 3, just so I can take you through it in detail. So the earnings per share grows at 12%. The retention rate is 60, so that stays the same. So that means the retained earnings grows by 12%, which means that 6.72 multiplied by 1.12, that means you're increasing the retained earnings, becomes 7.5264. Now we're going to earn 20% on that. That means that you're getting €1.50 every year forever, because remember there's a perpetuity. So we're going to calculate the net present value at time 3. It's the investment plus the present value of the perpetuity. That gives us a net present value at time 3 of €1.88.2. So you're seeing here that if we then want to calculate, well, what's the value today? What's the net present value of the growth opportunities today? Then we need to discount each of these net present values that take place in the future by the discount rate. So you see at time 1, it's €1.50 divided by 1.16. At time 2, it's €1.68 divided by 1.16 squared, and 1.882 divided by 1.16 cubed. Now you might say, well, okay, where are we going with this? Well, if you look carefully, then that is effectively, all we're doing here is growing this €1.50 each time by 12%. So what we've got here is we've got a growing perpetuity, similar to what we did with the dividend growth model. Do you see that? So it's 1.50, that's growing. So given it's a growing perpetuity, we can use the growing perpetuity model to calculate the net present value of the growth opportunity. So that's €1.50 divided by the discount rate minus the growth rate. And we get a net present value of growth opportunities of €37.50. So just look at that. It's the same formula, but this time instead of the dividend, we're looking at the return or the amount, the NPV of the retained investments. What's the value of the company without the dividend growth? without the growth opportunities, then you've got just basically the dividend. There's no growth, so it means you're not retaining anything, so the dividends are equal to the earnings per share. The discount rate is 16%, so we get the value of €62.50. And so the value of the equity is the net present value of the growth opportunities, plus the value of the equity without any growth opportunities, which gives us €100. So you might be asked in an exam, show the equivalence of the dividend growth model and the net present value of growth opportunities model. And you can just use this video as a basis for showing, for any situation to do with valuing equities, how both of these models are consistent. So I hope that you enjoyed that very quick video. It is important. There's not really a lot of, practical implications in there. This is just a theoretical thing where we show the equivalence of these two models. So I hope you found that useful, and thank you very much.